What in the world happened with the stock market in the past week? We are going to talk about that today. Is it the collapse? Is this the beginning? I'm going to unveil all of that today. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today, we are going to understand from the top to the bottom of where everything is and has been. I'm going to tell you about what's coming, the things that you need to do to actually take action. So, not just a bunch of info, let's actually get into it in detail. First things first, Bank of Japan lifts rates as Fed inches towards a cut. And so this is a very different situation where you've got the Bank of Japan leaving interest rates at rock bottom for literally decades and decades and decades. And then they make this small, but significant only because they had been at rock bottom for so long. They had started to change that. And of course, this started what they call the yen carry trade. If you want, links will be in the description for you to check out. But basically, what we're talking about here is that they would borrow, investors would, or speculators, I should say, should borrow going in at a very low rate, 0%, and then they invest in something else. And then when everything's good, you make money, you do well. But when something happens, in this case here, Japan increasing their interest rates, it throws all of that off. This shows us how unstable and how fragile the financial system is, that Japan can increase interest rates by a very small margin and it causes a problem. But of course, things rebounded right after. In fact, you saw the Japanese stock market, after going down significantly, increasing in a single day by 11%. 11% in a single day. So you know that there's a lot of upward pressure, a lot of people buying. This is the most important chart in the world today. It's a chart of the Japanese yen versus the USD. Why is it important? For 30 years, Japan has 0% interest. And then it goes on, basically people borrowing and so on, as I was saying. And they're stressing that we need to look at this, the US dollar to the yen. Now, as I was talking about with my Finance Friday crew, we look here at what has happened. The dates go back to 2023. And of course, this is showing the yen weakening consistently over this period of time. That has changed somewhat, but let's be honest. Okay, the aggressiveness at which it reversed is more than previous, but we've seen this before. This wouldn't be the first time. Okay, let's be clear. What are some investors, big investors, doing? And what are the institutional investors doing? I'll talk about Bitcoin in a second. Buffett's $277 billion cash hoard after selling Apple is a warning. Warren Buffett sold a very large stake, approximately half of his Apple stake, basically right in the last quarter. And what does that tell you about the value of Apple? Well, according to Warren Buffett, just doesn't see it there anymore. Maybe he thinks that most of the gains have come off. He's not selling it all. He's not saying there's no need to have it, but he's selling a whole bunch of it. You could see that cash pile in terms of the percentage of the total assets being at this level, 25%. So it's an extremely high percentage. And he would rather hold on to that cash equivalent, okay, because he's earning money on that. I don't know all the breakdown, but it might be, let's say, 4%. And so he's investing in something right now, earning some money, and not having to worry about the potential volatility. Speaking of volatility, you saw Bitcoin getting absolutely punished. I think it dipped down to maybe 53,000, somewhere 50,000, somewhere in there. And you could see Bitcoin plunged 28%, but institutional investors bought the dip. Did they make the right choice? Well, so far, because Bitcoin has exceeded 60,000 at this time, and it's basically been here, it seems like in this range for a while. And is this kind of the new support level? That's what a lot of people are hoping anyway. Many people have asked this question. I wanted to bring this up. Will the stock market soar if the Fed cuts rates in September? And so we have all this stuff like, okay, there's chaos, there's volatility, there's extreme events that are occurring. But what happens to the stock market? Should I sell? Should I do what Warren Buffett did and cut my position in half and sit in cash? Should I be like the institutional investors and go buy Bitcoin? Well, historically, the Federal Reserve has cut interest rates 28 times so far this century. These rate cuts sometimes spurred a rally in the S&P 500, but not always. And so this is what you got to know. It depends why they are cutting rates. If that rate cut is in some dramatic panic and things are just falling through the floor and it doesn't look like there's any end in sight, well, then it doesn't, immediately cause the stock market to rise. But if, amongst other things, they're doing rate cuts, they're doing quantitative easing, the government starts bailing out every sector, and we start to see sort of a bottoming out, things are kind of, okay, the worst is over, the storm has passed, that's when things can go up and up again. In 2020, it was a different scenario where you had, everything was shut down. As soon as they realized that there was going to be, the pharma companies were going to come out and do their thing. Once that was understood that, yeah, it's going to be maybe it's going to be 2 months from now, maybe it's going to be 3 months from now. We're not exactly sure, but we want to front run this. So we are going to get in there. We're going to buy that dip. And that's when the market took off from there. And you might be asking, what's the deal? What's going on here? Well, let's talk further about that. Fed official says no rate cuts yet. Inflation is still above target. And that's interesting. Okay, this comes from the Fed Kansas City president, and he's saying he won't support a cut if things are the way they are today. So we'll see what happens as of September. But many of them, I think, are proponents of a cut coming up, and we'll see what happens. Because what goes on with one cut, there usually is a follow-up. It's not necessarily each and every single time, but what do we see? It's a cut, it's a stair step down, cut, 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 cut. And so that would be very bullish for stocks, particularly if there isn't a recession. But that's the question here. Well, along with cuts, of course, here they're talking about mortgage rates could fall further. In Canada, they're saying the Bank of Canada is now less concerned about rate cuts driving up home prices. No, we don't have to worry about that. We don't have to worry about the fact that people cannot already afford it, but they're going to, they have said this. Even Trudeau has said this. We will not allow home prices to fall because that's going to hurt people. Because they have home equity line of credits, they have so much debt, we don't want them to be underwater. So what do? Oh, we're going to cut those rates, we're going to print some money, we're going to give incentives left, right, and center, and who's going to pay for that? Oh yeah, it's the middle class. Some are suggesting to get ready for nasty layoffs. In fact, some have happened. Layoffs pile up in the US and Canada as companies uncertain of the economy, certainly. But what I've seen in most part with the layoffs, it's like bottom 10% of employees, which there are companies that regularly, it's Amazon being one of them, that they just regularly cut the bottom 10% performers. And they do that so those people don't stick around. They don't get a culture of that in their company, and you're always trying to evolve. And I do agree to that, with that to some extent. If somebody is just dragging down the team, I know how it is when you got, let's say, if there's like 4 people in your team and one guy, he's just showing up late all the time. He's, this and that. And it's never good for the whole group. It's not a good thing. And a lot of people really don't like that. Where are we headed here? Half of the OECD countries earn less now than they did 2020. This is where things are headed. You have to understand this. Conditions will worsen. Things will be more expensive. The economy doesn't get better from here. All of these things, start adding them up. It depends on where you are. Some areas are better than others. You're seeing chaos in some places. Nowhere is perfect. but this is going on. And my goodness, some places are better than they were before. Some places. But I'll tell you right now, it's not in the US, it's not in Canada. Things are worse. And where are we going to be in 5 years from now? Well, the RCMP, the Royal, oh my goodness, the RCMP, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, my goodness, there we go. That is like, think of it like the FBI for Canada. They said specifically, I did an entire video about this, that they are in fact, we're going to look out 5 years from now as an internal document. Look out 5 years from now. Things are decaying. Things are eroding. The people are going to be upset and they're going to be on the streets. Let's get ready for it. That's actually what they say. That's coming from the RCMP directly. And that was an internal document that got leaked. A quarter of employed Canadians now work for the government. You see what's happening here? Worsening conditions. The government comes in to help out. Who's paying those salaries? It's you. It's you, the middle class. A quarter of employed Canadians now work for the government. Is that a good sign? Is that a strong economy? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Now, if you're one of those people, hey, it's probably a good job. You're getting paid well and you're getting benefits and all that stuff. I understand, but this is not good overall when so many people are working for the government because somebody's got to pay for that. You understand this, right? And with the natural resources not being utilized, what are you going to do? Anyway, this is like the one thing. You see what's happening here. Government's not going to help you. Government can't do anything. And we're going to be in these worsening conditions. I just found this one example today, and I thought it was fantastic. This is a guy. He's just showing one example, and he shows a bunch of different things on his, this is on TikTok. But anyway, the point is the service that he provides people, he takes their trash can or garbage can out onto the curb on the day that the trash comes to pick it up. So he goes, I get up super early, I bring these to the curb, and they charge $2. And there's a lot of people in the comments saying, you know how many times I forgot to take my trash out and I would have paid $2 for somebody to do it? It's just $2, not a big deal. And some people will say, I can do that myself, no problem. Yeah, but will a bunch of people pay $2 for that? It's just $2. Oh, sure, fine. And of course, it's $2 there and there and there and there. And now what's he doing? He's adding a lot of $2 together and maybe could stack on a bunch of different services onto that. And he's making money. He's able to do this. And this is a simple service. It's not expensive. It's something that people would pay for, I'm sure. And he's making money from it. And that's why you have to think creatively. You must be creative in this new economy in order to survive and thrive. If you want more details about this, you can get that live with me every Friday where we talk about Finance Friday. We talk about everything that's been happening, going on, but for like literally 2 hours plus. On Sunday, we talk about building an online business. And there are people that are in the group already going through the entire thing, building their online business right now. They're doing it, and I'm so proud of them. What has happened here is that the economy has eroded, the conditions are worsening, and you have to take action, whatever that is. If you want to do, take out people's garbage cans, you want to build an online business, whatever it is. But just do it. Just take action. Do not expect things to get better. Do not expect things to be, change in the government and suddenly things are going to get better. It only gets worse when we zoom out. It can get better for a little while, but it's been the trend that things are worsening. They'll cut interest rates. They'll print money. They'll do bailouts. Your currency will be devalued and you will suffer. The bankers won't suffer. Those globalist elite won't suffer. It's going to be you and I. So we have to take action today and do what we can. I want to thank you for being here. Hit that thumbs up. As always, check the link in the description for more information right at the top. Hit that link and I'll see you there. Take care.